Welcome to the Inspired Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea De La Cerda, and each week I'm bringing you the latest discussions and news about changes in the landscape of education and entrepreneurship. As a 22-year entrepreneur, corporate executive, business coach, and leader, I mentor a community of change-making men and women to get out of their box and step into their true calling to make the biggest impact. This podcast is all about empowering people, navigating life's twists and turns, and stepping into the fullest version of who we are meant to be. Today, we're talking about something that's reshaping the business world: leading with empathy. Women bring a unique set of strengths to leadership, qualities that foster collaboration, innovation, and resilience in teams. And the best part? They're driving measurable business results that are transforming organizations worldwide. Empathy, or the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, has emerged as perhaps the most critical leadership skill in today's complex business environment. Before we explore women's empathetic leadership advantages, let's consider how our understanding of effective leadership has evolved over time. For decades, leadership was predominantly defined by traditionally masculine traits: assertiveness, authority, decisiveness, and competitive drive. The stereotypical leader was someone who made quick decisions, maintained emotional distance, and prioritized results over relationships. However, the modern workplace has undergone a profound transformation. Remote work, changing employee expectations, and global challenges have created an environment where different leadership qualities have really become essential. A 2024 Gallup study found that 76% of employees consider empathy from their leaders to be, quote, very important to their job satisfaction and performance. And that's a 24% increase from just 5 years ago. 24%. That's a lot. For women in the workplace, research shows that women tend to score significantly higher on empathy-related leadership competencies. A study by the Neuro Leadership Institute tracked over 5,000 leaders and found that women scored 45% higher than men in emotional intelligence, active listening, and inclusive decision-making. These skills aren't just soft skills, as you might have heard them be referred to as, but they're essential for building tight-knit teams, empowering future leaders, and driving financial success, ultimately. Research consistently shows that companies with more women in leadership positions perform better financially. So, for example, a McKinsey & Company report found that companies in the top quartile for gender diversity on executive teams were 25% more likely to have above average profitability. Researchers at Washington University found that firms with women in top management positions introduced 20% more patents and launched innovative products 14 months earlier than competitors with an all-male leadership team. And Credit Suisse Research Institute's analysis of 3,000 global companies revealed that organizations with at least 30% women in leadership positions delivered 15% higher return on equity than those with minimal female representation. And finally, a 2022 Harvard Business Review analysis of 5,800 companies during the COVID-19 pandemic found that those with women CEOs actually experienced 35% less negative financial impact during that crisis. Because when leaders prioritize empathy, they create workplaces where employees feel heard, valued, and motivated. It isn't just about being nice. And I want to make that really clear. I think that can be a misunderstanding sometimes, that women are just, quote, too nice. It's really about fostering psychological safety so that employees feel comfortable taking risks, sharing ideas, and working collaboratively. Ultimately, an environment that assures psychological safety that enables teams to achieve peak performance. Google's Project Aristotle spent years studying what makes teams effective. And they found that psychological safety, or the belief that one won't be punished for making a mistake or speaking up, was the single most important factor in team success. Women leaders, just by nature, excel in creating environments of trust, mentorship, and inclusivity. This is particularly important in today's evolving workforce, where modern employees seek a well-rounded workplace where they can find purpose in addition to fair pay. Perhaps the most significant impact of women's leadership is their tendency to empower and elevate others up. Women in executive roles are more likely to mentor, sponsor, and promote other women in underrepresented groups, according to research. This creates what leadership experts call, quote, the multiplier effect, which deserves its own podcast episode in and of itself. According to the Women in the Workplace report by leanin.org and McKinsey, women managers spend 27% more time developing team members than their male counterparts. Women leaders are 24% more likely to advocate for underrepresented employees. Women executives are 32% more likely to mentor junior employees, especially other women and minorities. And it's these efforts that create a powerful virtuous cycle. When women lead with empathy, they develop pathways for the next generation of diverse leaders. Right now, my youngest son is getting ready to go off to college soon and considering a career in communications. So the other day, we were just discussing this idea of empathy and its role in how companies communicate to their customers, employees, and to their broader communities. I was reminded about an early role that I had in my career as a video producer. I absolutely loved it. I often had the opportunity to encourage and coach individuals to tell their own personal stories on camera for the benefit of others. It kind of sounds funny now, but I would jokingly measure how successful I was with how quickly I could move them from like a logical and often very nervous state to an emotional one, sometimes even getting them to cry. In an industry like communications, empathy is an obvious necessity, but other organizations, or depending on the industry, they might not see it that way. So how can we bring more empathy into all of our leadership styles, whether we're in executive roles or leading in our communities, or no matter what our background or our industry? I came up here just a few ideas to consider. First, practice active listening. Research from the Journal of Applied Psychology shows that leaders who listen effectively are perceived as 88% more empathetic and drive 25% higher team performance. Take the time to truly hear what your team members are saying, ask open-ended questions, and validate their experiences. Give them the space to be able to do that with you. And lead with vulnerability. A study found that leaders who share appropriate, of course, personal experiences and challenges increase team psychological safety by 76%. So maybe consider sharing your own challenges and experiences to create a culture of trust and authenticity and open up that line of communication. Encourage work-life balance. Recognize that employees are whole people. They have lives outside of work, and they support policies that promote balance. If you're personally struggling with striking that healthy balance, I created a hacktivity just for you. Download my free hacktivity. It's called Life Hacks for Balancing Work and Life. And a few of my favorite life hacks, and it's an interactive activity designed to help you craft your own unique list of life hacks. Go to the episode notes in this episode, and you can find the link to download that for free. Emphasize collaboration over hierarchy. Create spaces where ideas can be openly shared and where every voice is valued. And if you haven't yet listened to a previous episode, Women Supporting Women, which was just from last week, it's called The Power of Collaboration Over Competition. You definitely want to check that one out. A link to the episode will be in the show notes. As we look ahead, the evidence suggests that empathetic leadership will become even more valuable in the future. A 2024 World Economic Forum report projected that emotional intelligence will be among the top 10 most valuable workplace skills by 2030. For women leaders and aspiring leaders, this represents an extraordinary opportunity to leverage your natural strengths while continuing to develop those technical and strategic capabilities within your organization. There's so much exciting opportunity here for women to really recognize what we do bring to the table and leverage it. Thank you so much for being part of the Inspire podcast. Please don't forget to check out the episode show notes just for all the resources that I mentioned today. Together, we can redefine leadership to be more inclusive, more compassionate, and ultimately more effective. So until next time, stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep leading with empathy. Take care.